Happy holidays. Welcome into Raiders Game Day. I'm Amber Theoharis along with James Jones and Eric Allen. The Raiders lose this one 34-10 to the Giants. They are now 2-14 on the year with one more game left. And I think it is clear, regardless of how we break this game down, as we go into the new year, there's going to be a lot of changes ahead for the Raiders, a lot of tough decisions to be made. But just from this game, your takeaways, EA?
Looked like a preseason game to me. I mean, just the energy level wasn't really there, and I'm not sure if that had anything to do with where we are and what's going on right now, but just seemed like the energy level wasn't there. Basically coming off of last week, where I thought offensive play calling, defensive play calling, the production, the performance on the football field was really good and really high, and I was expecting the same type of effort this week. Just didn't see it from the first snap of the ball. Just didn't see it, and the Giants are in a similar situation, but I just thought they came in a lot more energy and had something to prove, and then they kicked their butt pretty much.
They did from the get-go. Special teams, defense, offense, they got after us. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard.
I've been with the Raiders all year, and I don't know. I don't know. We just, some days we come to play, some days we don't come with no energy, we don't come with nothing. And at least I thought you got 2 games left, and I know it's a lot of stuff going on in the building, a lot of moving parts. But one thing I do know as a competitor and as a football player, you go out there on that field and you leave it all out there on that field. I ain't see that this week. I seen it last week.
Yeah, I did.
Really good game, right? Even though we came off with a loss, I didn't see it this week. So, you know, it's a head scratcher for me. I just don't know. You got people playing for their lives and all that type stuff, for their families and all that, and I just didn't see that today.
I think the Raiders start to evaluate where they are. First of all, Geno Smith was injured. We don't know the extent of his injury, but Kenny Pickett able to come in and look, going forward, you have to realize where the Raiders are. They're in last in the AFC West. They're going to finish last, and it's an extremely competitive division. We see what's happening right now with the Broncos and also with the Chargers. But I think there's a little bit of silver lining here. If you look at what has happened around the NFL with teams this year that have turned it around in just a short amount of time. I mean, look at this. Look from 24 to 25. The Bears, Patriots, 49ers, Panthers, and Jaguars were all last place teams, all of them. Every single one of them is in a position to either be in the playoffs right now or to fight for the playoffs with this last game of the season. And you look at a team like the Bears, the Patriots, they're at the top of their conferences. So it can be turned around quickly, but you have to look at how those teams are made up and what do they all have in common. They all have a solid young quarterback, whether it's Caleb Williams, whether it's Drake May. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the veteran there. You know, I mean, you could put the Broncos, like, they weren't last year, but they've turned it around as well. And I think that's where the questions start, is what is this team going to do at quarterback? Maybe even starts with the offensive line, because it doesn't matter if you get a young guy in there. And the realization right now, Eric, is that there are quite a few holes to fill, and we haven't even mentioned the Raiders have the #1 pick in the draft as of right now. They can still win against the Chiefs and still have a 90% chance of a lot of other things could happen, but having the #1 overall pick.
Amber, I think you're right when you start talking about if you're starting to build a franchise, no matter who's playing quarterback, who's your star on offense, defense, if you don't have consistency and great play at the offensive line, it's going to make it difficult for anyone to be successful. The running game, the passing game, whoever you want to be, the play caller. If you don't have consistency on the offensive line, you're going to have issues. That's where it starts. It's not sexy. It's not the guy who's going to be, you know, flashy and had all the NIL deals from college or the big-time free agent. But that is one of the most important positions in our game, because there's 5 men who have to play as one on every single snap. And on a defensive perspective, we're trying to focus and bring out that weakness on that offensive line, and we're going to exploit it when we need to, when we have to. 3rd and long, we're going to put our best edge rusher over your weakest guy. If it's 1st down, we're going to put a nose tackle right over the center. So that offensive line has to be intact. And the last couple years, we haven't known who our offensive line is going to be until like week 7 or 8. You know, which is ridiculous. So that's what we need to do. We got to get our offensive line straight, and then we can worry about all the other stuff.
Yeah, and then you're talking about offensive line. Once you get the offensive line fixed, you cannot have inconsistent play at the quarterback spot. I don't care what team you are. The only reason the Patriots is in there where they at, and Vrabel's a hell of a coach, is because the young quarterback is playing out of his mind. The only reason why the Broncos is there is because Bo Nix is playing out of his mind. The quarterback play for the Raiders this year, last year, has not been good and it's been inconsistent. So we can have Trent Brown, we can have all them boys in there, Trent Williams, we can have all them dudes in there. If you do not have the quarterback, you're not going to win a lot of games. Right now, the Raiders have yet to hit on the quarterback, right? One thing I do know about a lot of these young quarterbacks, they help their O-line. They get out of there. We just watched a dude play in the New York Giants. Offensive line ain't no good. Right? But it's design runs, it's getting outside the pocket, and it's making the offensive line better. The quarterback play is just too inconsistent for us, and that's why we having our struggles. We have to hit on that. Whether it's draft, whether it's free agency, we got to hit on that quarterback spot. We're going to be back here next year.
All right, to talk about not only this game, but the future of the Raiders, let's bring in Jaxson Horowitz, who is out at Allegiant Stadium. And Jaxson, we really keep hoping that you'll be on for a win. But for right now, you know, the Raiders are in the position of having the #1 overall pick. And it seems like this is the best case scenario, not just because, you know, the #1 pick is always great. It gives you a lot of power. You have your choice. But because the Heisman Trophy winner right now is expected to go #1 overall, and it's a quarterback. I mean, when you evaluate the needs here, what do you think are the first steps in building?
Well, Amber and EA, JJ, I mean, here's the one thing that I'd be cautious about, though, and I understand the excitement and I mean, when you have a season like this, right, the Raiders have tied the record for most losses in a single season. So you understand the excitement of the possibility of the future and why you want the #1 pick. I think the choices part is more important, though, than the number, because there's a possibility, right, whoever's making the decisions here, and we don't know what this offseason is going to look like, that they evaluate Fernando Mendoza and they don't see the franchise quarterback. If Dante Moore from Oregon comes out, you know, I don't know what's going to happen when they play Texas Tech this week in the college football playoff, but if he comes out and they evaluate and they don't think he's the guy, you're in a tough spot because you have to have a quarterback moving forward for the franchise. But what if you don't think either of those two guys is the guy? Then to your point, you have to have an offensive line. That's A. You need a bunch of new defensive playmakers. That's B. You need wide receivers. That's C. And, of course, the most important part is the quarterback. But what if it's not one of those two guys, and then what do you do? So I understand why everyone's kind of looking for the silver lining and having that #1 pick. But there's a catch-22 to that because it's not supposedly the strongest quarterback class coming out.
Great point.
Well, #1, I think, is first off, if you're going to take a quarterback at #1, you're going to have a plan. All right, you go up in that building.
Well, that's true, too.
Who's going to be the offensive coordinator? If we are taking this young quarterback, who's going to be the offensive coordinator, right, to make sure this young quarterback has some success? Okay, if we're taking this young quarterback, we shouldn't be taking a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the ball, all right, in free agency and the draft. We're taking a young quarterback. Let's build the offensive line. We got a running back. Let's get him a #1 wide receiver. First, I think it's all about the plan if you're going to do that. If you're not going to do that and if you're not going to have a plan, then I'm with you. Go elsewhere, you know, but this organization, man, we watched, and you've called how many games? 15, 16 games?
Yeah.
And we're in this position.
It's been really tough.
And we're in this position not because of defense, not because of mostly offensive line play. We're really in this position because of inconsistent quarterback play. So my question to you.
I put that more. I put it as a combo, though. JJ, I mean, we're in the position because of the way the offense is played, right? They're going to finish dead last in the NFL in points scored, you know, unless they score 130 points next week against the Chiefs. They're going to be in last in total yards. And so, yes, no question. Your point about how a quarterback is played this year is totally accurate. But he's also been sacked 60 times, you know, and that is tough. Yeah. Right? So, like, it's a combo of the two. You know, I think it is a massive combo of the two, and they both have to change to next year.
I mean, you could go back on this all day because, and the only reason why I'm saying that,
we shouldn't though. You played.
No.
You played with the offense that scored.
I lean back. The only reason why I'm saying that is because when I played for the Raiders, man, in 2014. We drafted a young kid named Derek Carr. Mm-hmm. I promise you, you can't name me his offensive lineman. And I don't want to shoot at my teammates, but they wasn't that good. And I would tell them that they wasn't that good. And I watched a young quarterback. Yeah, exactly.
I have like 3 or 4 that are running through my mind, but I don't know that they're accurate, so I don't want to say it.
But I watched a young quarterback, though, even though we were struggling, I watched a young quarterback elevate everybody because he was playing the quarterback spot at a consistent level as a rookie. So that's all I'm saying. If you have a quarterback that's playing at a consistent level, it's going to help that offensive line.
Yeah. But I would also say this, too, though, JJ. Derek Carr was a second-round pick. Khalil Mack was the 4th overall pick. You know, and look, the reality is the Raiders are going to have a top 3 pick, right? We're after today, we are going to have a top 3 pick. Whether it's 1, 2, or 3, all that's going to be determined next week with what happens against the Chiefs. There is going to be an option for quarterback because some of the other teams up there aren't going to need one. The Titans are not taking a quarterback. Right? The Giants are not taking a quarterback. We don't, Cardinals, who knows what they're going to do with Kyler Murray. Obviously, the Jets and the Browns need quarterback, I would think. Maybe the Browns feel differently about Shedeur Sanders. I don't know. But there's going to be an option there. But to all the other things we're talking about, what if I told you that, Reggie White was there? And again, I have no idea. But what if I told you Reggie White was there at number 1 or 2 to take? And the quarterback of the future just isn't there. Again, this is all to be determined over the next 2, 3, 4 months. But the reality for this roster is it needs a major overhaul. And that's an obvious statement. I think everyone behind me knows that. I think they all have talked about that. In the questions that Pete Carroll was asked a few weeks ago, those were more like, hey, did you know it was this much of a rebuild? And then more recently, it's been like, hey, do you want to be part of the rebuild? I think it's just an accepted thing that this is a massive change that's about to happen. But is it a quarterback, number 1 or 2, that's leading the way? Or is it something else and a quarterback to come beyond that? And again, that will be determined.
Yeah, it's very difficult to, we had a graphic up that showed the teams that finished in last, and then the next year we're either finishing first or playoff teams. I'm not sure if those teams are in a similar situation like the Raiders, because I'm not sure where we focus on and not have these other holes that we need to fill. I mean, we've been here for quite a while in Vegas. This may be the worst performing team, consistency-wise, I have seen. In other years, there have been sides of the ball, or, you can go in the defensive line room or the linebacker room and man, there's some guys in there that we can build around. I'm not sure if consistently we can say that about any one spot on the football team right now. What did you say about that?
No. Maybe the tight end room. Brock's been shut down, and Michael Mayer today. Remember, we were talking about this during the broadcast today. What you saw today out of Michael Mayer, I think a lot of people thought was going to be what you'd see from him and Brock combined. He had a career day, 9 catches, and I think it was 85 or so yards. And I think a lot of people thought over the last couple of years, you'd be like, wow, you've got 2 great tight ends who are both drafted in the first 2 rounds. And maybe we will, right? Mike's going into his 4th year next year, last year of his contract. And, Brock's obviously going to go into year 3. So maybe that'll be your spot. And I think you feel good about Ashton Genty, right? He's going to have a chance at a 1,000-yard season. He joined Josh Jacobs and Brock Bowers as the only rookies in Raiders history to have 1,200 yards from scrimmage in their first season. So I think you feel good about those 2 spots. But other than that, I don't know. So I'm with you about that, EA. So they have all that money in free agency. They're going to have to bring in some guys, and I mean big-time players. But as everyone's always talked about in the draft, you don't change your franchise with free agents. You change your franchise with draft picks that you hit on. And that has been something that the Raiders franchise has struggled for a while, for a bunch of different regimes. And John Spytek and this team are going to have to start hitting on draft picks. Again, they've only had 1 draft, but this upcoming draft, they're going to have to hit on draft picks. Because unless you hit on your draft picks, this franchise will not change. And they're going to have a lot of draft picks, right? The extra picks they got for Jacoby Myers, the extra picks they'll get for losing free agents. So I think they're going to have 10 or 11 draft picks, and they're going to have to hit because it's going to have to be a completely young overhaul that changes this franchise.
Jason Horowitz, we appreciate you hanging out after the game. I know you probably want to go eat or something like that at this
He has his family in
Next
town.
week's the week.
He has
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole family
Next week's
in
the
there.
week.
You're going to hit all the
EA,
Vegas spots.
EA met the whole fam.
Yeah.
EA met the whole fam today. They were so excited. They love him.
send them our love and enjoy
sure.
some of these great Vegas restaurants. I'm sure you're taking them somewhere expensive for the new year here.
That's right.
Thanks a lot, Jason. We appreciate it.
The M&M store. I think they want to go to the M&M store.
Oh, that's always a
There you
good
go.
place to hit. All right, thanks a lot, Jason. Still to come here on Raiders Game Day. Of course, there are a lot of questions for Pete Carroll. He took the podium at Allegiant Stadium. We're going to take you out there to the coaches' press conference next. Raiders Game Day is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Modelo, a reward for those with a fighting spirit. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois. And by Cox, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back. The Raiders lose 34-10 to the Giants, but beyond this game, a lot of questions for this organization going forward, and I'm sure many of them will be asked to Pete Carroll as he's taken the podium now at Allegiant Stadium. Let's go out there.
Pete, when you make some of the moves that you guys made, putting some of your star players on IR, do you think any of that gets into the head of players where
they were aware of it? They're aware of it, and they missed their guys. Max is pretty good, and he carries a lot of weight, and Brock, same, Chin, same, all those guys were hurt. They were hurt. And I know the stories go otherwise, but they were hurt. And so unfortunate, but they knew.
But in terms of not effort so much, but, that percentage point of a percentage point when you're a little bit checked out, that kind of a performance can happen?
No, I don't think it hasn't. That is the issue. I think the issue is those guys weren't playing, and then we go down a level, And Mike Mayer had a great game for us today. I mean, just a great game in filling in for Brock. And I can't say anybody on defense, picked it up. It was obvious, in terms of filling in for Max. But we tried, and we did all that we could to try to get a good game out of us. And the unfortunate part is when you get the kickoff return, it's like, okay, and that's all three phases, have an axe to grind and all that in a sense. I don't know. It was just a mess. It was a mess.
Pete, over here. In terms of the morale of the players, we know that Max is the emotional leader. Was he able to be here tonight to help with the?
No, he'll be in the morning. He'll be with us in the morning.
Okay.
Pete, nobody saw this coming. This 2-14. Nobody did. So I'm curious. Where do you think this season went sideways?
We didn't win a game in preseason. We were fortunate to tie Seattle, I think, in the preseason. We just haven't found our wins. We haven't found our way to win. We saw a tremendous game right off the bat, in New England. Obviously, look at their team now. They've had a fantastic season. And that was a pretty solid win for us, And Brock got hurt in that game in the fourth quarter. And I don't think we adapted well with that, and so we went through a few weeks of floundering, and I don't even know how long it took us to get to the Titans game to get the next win, but it seemed like forever. But yeah, I had no place in my mind to see this either, and so we just trying to figure out how to go 1 week at a time, come on back and find the focus to work really hard and give it a really good shot to see if we can play good football, and that's what we're going to try to do again, and. I don't doubt these guys one bit. And if you're asking the question, a little bit, did it go south or something? I don't think that. I think that's what we look like without those guys playing, and unfortunately, they're that valuable to us. And so everybody tried, everybody did everything they could, and all that, but just wasn't enough.
Pete, despite how the season has gone, do you feel like you still have support from ownership that in your belief?
Yeah, I do. I do. From all the guys I've talked to, I do feel I have their support. What that means, I don't know. But our conversations have been really good.
I'll just follow up on any update on Geno Smith and the ankle, as well as Adam Butler's bicep.
Yeah, Geno has a high ankle sprain, and he'll get checked out in the morning with MRIs and all that. I don't know what that means, but that's pretty hard to bounce back, So he that might knock him out next week. We'll have to wait and see. Adam has a bicep strain of some sort, and again, we don't, we won't know for a while. He didn't come back.
Saw that Dylan Parham also was sidelined. What was the situation
Illness.
there?
He couldn't make it out of pregame. He was sick and couldn't go.
You mentioned Michael Mayer, and it's been a little while for him to get that kind of action, those kind of touches, but that's what he's capable of doing. Why do you think it's taken this long for him to kind of be
Bowers.
featured?
I think it's
No doubt.
Bowers. Really. I mean, he filled in admirably, for one of the best players in our league, in Brock, and he did a great job today. But you can't throw 20 balls to the tight ends in the course of a game. It's gonna get split up, and it's gonna go all over the place. But Mike had the chance to be featured today, and he totally came through. He was physical. He was creative. Made all the catches. I just thought that was a beautiful game from Mike.
Pete, to your left. This defensive unit has had problems stopping the run kind of all season long. Understanding that Max wasn't going to be on the field for you guys, what things were kind of put into practice this week, understanding the void that he was going to leave out there?
Yeah, we knew that it would be different, because he has, he's leading the league in tackles for losses or whatever. He's way up there, and not to mention the sacks production that he brings us. So we knew that there's going to be a bit of a void there. So we tried to do some things that come off the edge and adjust and hit some things that we would, try to create some problems. And we hit a couple and a couple we didn't, So we did try to adapt with some thoughts and some calls and concepts. But there's not too much you can do how do you recreate that player, I mean, he's an incredible football player. And let me say this too, that Max was freaking heartbroken that he couldn't play. He's heartbroken that he couldn't play, and it means so much to him. He was having a great season. He's been hobbling around for months to get to the games, and it just got too far, and that's why he couldn't play. And he would never have taken himself out. I wouldn't have taken myself out. I get it. I totally understand it, but we just needed to protect him. And it was obvious that we needed to from one end of it. But I don't blame Max for being upset one bit. He's too much of a warrior to accept that, And so it kind of breaks my heart that he didn't have a chance to finish this season with these last couple of games, because he was having a hell of a year, and it doesn't take anything away from it. He just couldn't finish, but he would have, if we would put him out there, he'd have gone no matter what. And that was that the right thing? The decision was no.
And then Pete, just one more really quick. We saw it in the home game against Denver, and then obviously we saw it tonight. It seems like every time this group is almost like one play away from that breakthrough, the breakdown kind of happens on the special teams unit. Is that exactly what happened tonight in terms of what happened against Denver?
Unbelievable timing. We go down, we get our touchdowns 20-10, and we didn't have a flash of a moment to benefit from that. And the next thing, it's 95, and away they go. It has happened throughout the year where we've given up monster plays in games. Those are crushing. I can't remember. You guys do your homework on that. I can't remember returns like that in my history of coaching in Seattle, at least in college. I don't remember that happening like that. But it just seems like it pops up. Every once in a while, we've had games we've done really well. We've had real consistent games, and he didn't get touched on that play. I mean, you watch Tommy Eichenberg the last couple weeks. He's been killing guys on kickoff coverage. And I don't know what happened to Tom on that one, but we've had some great coverage, but that one was just couldn't have been more untimely. And it just, takes wind out of your sails, obviously.
Go ahead.
Pete, just going back to what you mentioned about your conversations with ownership, I was wondering, based on those conversations, just what are your confidence levels that you will be back here next season?
I have no comment to make about that at all. We're getting along great. We're communicating really well. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, some tough questions for head coach Pete Carroll about not only the future of this team, but his future as well. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Max Crosby. A lot of buzz around Crosby, even though he wasn't out there today. That's coming up next right here. This segment of Raiders Game Day has been brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back. The Raiders now 2-14 on the season, and automatically with one game left, you start looking towards the future. They're sitting at the #1 spot in the draft, but as they look forward to questions that they need to answer going into the offseason, it's not just, we just heard Pete Carroll. He was asked about his job. He feels like his communication is good with ownership right now. That's a tough question for a head coach to answer, especially a head coach like Pete Carroll that has won his entire career. The one thing we do know going forward is that there needs to be consistency at some point in the head coaching position. You can't go from Josh McDaniels to Antonio Pierce to Pete Carroll every year. You look at teams like the Steelers that have had 3 coaches since the 50s or something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
And that's what makes great organizations. Like, look at the Ravens. John Harbaugh's been there since 2008. Having consistency at the head coach position matters. Also, you make decisions when you've got a bunch of young stars, like your 2 best players are Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty, and then your #1 best player is Max Crosby. When they rebuild this roster, they're going to have to look at how to fill spots. And where does Max Crosby fit in? He wasn't there. He was injured. As Pete Carroll says, he's going to be back with the team tomorrow. But at 29 years old when the season starts, you know, how do you decide how to build a roster with these young players in so many holes?
Well, I've been on both sides of, you know, kind of this coin. I was there in Philadelphia when Reggie White and the Philadelphia Eagles didn't, you know, agree on the way they wanted to proceed forward. So obviously Reggie wanted to play and stay in Philadelphia. I mean, we had created a brotherhood there. We had been in playoff games, right? And there's nothing like, you know, working through the regular season, your bumps and bruises, and then, you know, having a player of Reggie's stature who you know is one of the best players to ever play, him wanting to stay there, but the team just felt like they would have a better opportunity to have more players. So they traded him away. So you see that and you're like, how can they trade Reggie White away? Years later, I'm in that situation and you're like, you want to play in meaningful games. And I think Max in this situation, I mean, his legacy for the Raiders is already cemented. I mean, he's a great player. 5 times to the Pro Bowl, all these tackle for losses. I mean, he needs to be in meaningful football games to cement his ability to wear the gold jacket at the end of his career, right? And Raiders, and I'm a Raider fan. I've been a Raider fan for my whole life. We've given away or traded away players before it hasn't worked out for us. We've brought in players that have worked out for us. I understand the organization has to have this conversation at the end. Is it better to have Max, who we all love, on this football team, or is it a situation where we'll quicker rebuild with him on another team and we get things for him? It's a really difficult conversation, but we have to have that conversation going forward.
Yeah, it is different. It is different.
Like the ice tub, right? It's like the ice tub.
The only thing I would say about Max Crosby is Max don't really know what type of game it is. He don't know if it's a big game.
Right, yeah.
He don't know if it's a preseason game. He don't know if it's a regular season game. Max gonna go 110 every time he steps on the field. I feel his frustration right now, right? I've been out here playing. Let's say my knee is a little sore, whatever. I've been out here playing. I want to go out there with my teammates. I always used to get mad at the coach. Let's say we blowing the team out and he take out a couple players. What you taking them out for? Let's say we getting blown out and you take out a couple good players. We in this situation because them too. Everybody needs to finish the game. Max Crosby is a competitor. I would have loved to see Max Crosby go out there and finish these games and play because that's what Max does. On the other side, I seen us trade away Khalil Mack. I could not imagine if Khalil Mack was here and we drafted Max Crosby. So the only reason why I'm saying that is I would love to see us still build around Max Crosby. You have a premier pass rusher. Go in the draft and get another premier pass rusher on the other side of him or in free agency and build this defense. Then you have Brock Bowers. You can get a free agent quarterback or you can draft a young quarterback in the draft and you're starting something. But I would love to see us keep Max. Max is an all-pro player for a reason. He's the heartbeat of this team. He got the Raiders logos tattooed on him. Me and you don't. That's how much it means to Max Crosby.
Yeah.
So I would love to see us, see him stay and
He
build
wants
around
to be a Raider. You know that.
he
You know
does.
he wants to be a Raider.
Yeah.
The plan is to have him Raider. He's under contract. There's never been any discussion within the organization. Even, you remember a couple weeks ago, there was a little bit of buzz around the NFL, and Mark Davis, they shut it down.
Shut it
They
down.
shut it
Put the
down.
brakes on it.
So this is a hypothetical discussion
Yeah,
because,
right.
and the question is, can they win with Max Crosby? We just showed you, 5 teams that went from worst to first, and you can't tell me that those teams don't still have holes on them. They just had a couple key positions turned around, most notably the quarterback, with a really great head coach, and there's no doubt Pete Carroll's a great head coach.
Yeah, he is.
He doesn't have to prove that. We know that. So that is a tough decision, and it's just hypothetical. Could it possibly happen? But when you're looking at what you're going to trade away, when you're thinking about a star player, we just saw Jerry Jones do it with Micah Parsons. It is what you know you have versus what you might have, and that's a pitfall a lot of teams fall into, right?
Is the infrastructure here, as far as offensive play calling, coordinator, style of play, is that infrastructure here for this football team to be able to keep Max and be able to make a couple moves and be there?
I just know there's no Micah Parsons out there.
No.
Yeah.
There's no Max Crosby's out there. There's no Myles Garrett's out there.
They're
in the
once in a
draft.
generation types of players.
These is all pro players. Like the Cowboys lost Micah, and you know what they said? We need pass rushers. You just let one go.
Really
but that will
they bring in Quinnen Williams. It's
you
like,
know what I'm saying?
doing?
But that will be us. Let's build around the young fellas that we drafted.
It's a great point. It's a tough discussion to have. You don't know what's in Max's heart. It seems like he just loves this organization.
That's
Put
it.
his heart and soul into the city, the community, not just the team. And he probably wants it to work out. It's just a matter of the team putting him and the rest of the team in the best position to turn things around quickly. All right, we're going to take a break here on Raiders Game Day. When we come back, we said the tight end room is one that looks pretty good.
Yep.
Michael Mayer, let's break down the game he had also. Raiders run defense, that's coming up next. Intermountain Health understands that life can be a challenging game, and mental wellness is vital to our overall health. It takes courage to admit when we're not okay, and even more to reach out. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, call or text 988 or visit strongestplay.com for mental wellness resources. Welcome back to Raiders Game Day as the Raiders lose this one to the Giants. Some good with the bad. The run defense struggled today, giving up 155 yards. But on the flip side, Michael Mayer really stepped in for an injured Brock Bowers, 10 targets and 89 yards. So the future is bright for that young tight end. To break it all down, let's turn it over to EA and JJ.
All right, Amber, here. Good news and bad news. We're going to start with the bad news first.
Always.
And you know what? The performances today, not great, right? And I'm going to tell you why the performance is not great. Have a lot of young guys today, so defensively, it's great. The measurables are always awesome. But you know what? It's about your leverage, right? We need to be talking and communicating. Hey, inside. If you know you have guys on the outside turning it in, your inside defenders have to attack with that outside shoulder and play inside out. We don't get that here, and we'll see. He creases it. Look at all those guys outside. Right? Bad angles. It has nothing to do with effort. It's all about the performance and your angles. These things go back to practice, as we see again. You have to play inside out if you're that middle linebacker. You're always an inside out player because you know you're going to have that average. Guys are going to be able to turn it back inside. And we saw that day in and day out. This has been a theme for us this whole year, missed tackles on our defensive side of football. One more time again, we're going to show you, hey, we have a mug front. Okay, now we can have it bounce out outside. Whenever there's an empty, I always like to say, watch the quarterback. If he's a mobile guy, you know it's going to be a quarterback run. That free safety has to be down in that box. He has to really spot that and shout it out to everybody. Quarterback draw, quarterback draw. Now everyone can get on the same page. No one touched that quarterback until 7-8 yards down the football field. This is the quarterback in the National Football League, and you know what? He's a non-slider, JJ. And whenever there's a non-slider, that's the time to get on the highlight tape, my man.
But even on that right there, if we could go back to that really quick, This is a great play call by us right here.
Yeah.
This is our spy right here. Where we going?
Yeah, you
quarterback's yours.
In the middle of football field, between the hashes, right? Your spy and your free safety. So the free safety has to communicate that now the linebacker, you're in a better spot, and man, you face him up and you put him in the dirt.
And you make them not call that play again.
Exactly. One more time here. So again, it's all about this outside toss. We have to get it turned in.
Yeah.
You have to have the confidence in your teammates to turn it in, and then you do your job. We don't have great confidence in someone turning in on the edge, protect the edge. They do a great job blocking. Again, another crease play and another 5 or 6 yards after contact. It's one of those things that have continued to haunt this defense by taking wrong angles, missed tackles over and over again. And once you see it out in film, the running backs are saying, what, JJ? Oh, man, give me the ball.
Man.
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah, they want you in space.
They
right
want
there.
you in space.
We got to come down here and make some of them tackles right here. The bright spot, right?
Yep,
the bright spot was Brock Bowers out. We know going into this last game and going into the offseason, we got 2 really good tight ends that we can build around on the offensive side of the ball. Right here, we got Mayer just getting active, and I like the concept. You got to go ball, you got to out route with a wheel, and you got him dragging across the field.
Nice.
We're going to catch it, we're going to get busy, and we're going to get some yak yardage. And that's getting us started in this game. But this is just a regular shallow right here, coming across the field. Good ball by Geno, good placement. Let's get the ball in the big dog's hands and let's get active. Good play concept.
There, man.
Yes. And he can move. He can run routes. Right here, this is a choice route. Pause it. Leave it. We can either go out or we can cross his face. And as you can see, he put a little bit of that season on there, that Lawry's, none of that salt and pepper. He put that Lawry's on there and gave that and came across his face in the middle. This is a big boy route. This is a big time route on a DB. And he gave him a little bit of that. And then we're going to get busy. But that's you getting into the flow of the game.
Yeah.
Once Mayer got into the flow of the game and he got comfortable, he started moving the right way, and he started running routes like that. But that's a big-time throwing catch and a big-time route.
Great confidence there.
I'm telling you, him and Brock, that's 2 big dudes that can run. And then this is just a staple in a lot of people's offense. We're going to chip first. Boom. We're going to make sure you ain't, and then we're going to leak late. We can look to take a shot down the field. If it ain't down there, we're going to check it down to our tight end. Look at this, though. This is what I want to say. This is what I try to be saying all year.
All right,
third and 13. You don't got to throw it 30 yards in the air, EA.
Okay.
This is a check down. Look at the big dog. You need 10 yards to go. He fights and gets the first down. You can throw a hitch. You can throw a check down and still be able to pick up some positive yards and get a first down. This is a really good game for him. Him and Geno played well together today. Man, they just got to keep that going.
How many catches he have today?
He had like 9 catches, man.
That's
so
a big
imagine
day.
him and Brock on the field together and we getting both them active. It's going to be mismatch problems. Amber.
You know, it could be a mismatch problem is Ashton Genty. Here's our one big number, 1,227. That's his yards from scrimmage. That leads all rookies this season. So if we're looking for a bright spot for the Raiders' future, things can only go up for this young man. We're going to take a break here on Raiders Game Day. Much more to come. Stick with us. Raiders lose this one to the Giants 34-10. But coming up, we're going to take a look at where the Raiders stand in the draft, what it could mean for the future. That's next. This segment of Raiders Game Day has been brought to you by Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders Game Day has been brought to you by Allegiant, the official airline of the Raiders. Low fares, nonstop flights, only at Allegiant.com. Credit One Bank, the official credit card of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors Light, choose chill, an official beer of Raider Nation. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And by Twitch, watch, discover, join in. Welcome back. Right now, the Raiders are projected to have the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft coming up. By the way, it's in Pittsburgh. That's pretty cool. It's going to be fun. I haven't seen it there before.
That is gonna be good.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to go to Pennsylvania. A lot of the birthplaces of football. Western Pennsylvania was one of the top places where it was developed. But I digress. So the Raiders have the #1 overall pick projected, about an 80 to 90% chance, 88 to 90% chance right now, depending on what happens in Week 3. So I want to take a look at some of the possibilities according to Mel Kiper. Here are the top prospects according to one of the best draft analysts out there, ESPN's Mel Kiper. Interestingly, we've been talking about Fernando Mendoza a lot.
Yeah,
he was the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah, he was.
But Dante Moore, they have ranked #1. If they decide, the Raiders decide they want to take a quarterback, if they have that pick, Which one of those would you go with to essentially build your franchise around?
I think that's kind of flipped because of maybe measurables, JJ. When you start talking about 40 time and vertical and all those things you can measure, I'm pretty sure Dante, comes out on top of Fernando. Play on the field is one thing. It's evaluation season, though. And these guys in the front office have to do a great job when you're picking number one to get the best possible player. That's what it's about. I mean, getting a player who can transition and change your franchise. And then from then on, what's important is you're also, in the second round, you're going to get the number one pick, the third round. So all these picks after number one are also going to be, quality football players.
Yeah, well, before I say none of them, I'm going to take Moore because I feel like Moore's played better competition. I think that's why Mendoza's underneath him right now, because he played a little bit better competition, even though he beat Oregon. But from top to bottom, he played better competition. This is going to be a big-time playoff run for him. Yeah. Because Mendoza's going to see Ohio State, and then after that, you possibly got to see Georgia. And those boys is all over the NFL. So it'll be a good test for him to see if you are really like that. Moore has kind of showed he's been like that playing elite competition. So I would go with him, and he's a little bit more mobile.
And like Jason Horowitz said, though, that has to be your guy. Just because you have the number one or number two pick doesn't mean you have to select a quarterback just because you need one. You just said it, EA. You're responsible to get the best player possible and get that number one pick right. If you don't think that's your guy, don't push it. We've seen that happen way too many times, like Johnny Manziel. But let's move on. All right, we're going to take a break here on Raiders Game Day. Much more to come. Raiders lose this one 34-10 to the Giants, but analyzing what's ahead for the Silver and Black. Always top of the line entertainment at Allegiant Stadium. Joelle James, man.
She killed it.
She killed
it.
We all looked at each other in the press box like, who is she? That, to me, the best anthem this year. The Family Stone Band.
Yeah, that's Sly.
That's Sly's band, right?
Yeah, not with him, but yeah, that's old school right there.
The old school funk.
Down,
And there's Rich Gannon, our good
MVP.
friend. There's the MVP.
Look at him.
I just did a show with him on Sirius XM. Great
Rich,
analyst.
that dude was no joke, man.
No joke. And then
Ain't no way.
look at
our guy,
JT.
Our guy.
He was inducted into
Ain't no way.
the Black Hole Hall of Fame.
Look, I taught him how to do the torch.
And he lit the flame.
Yeah, I taught him how to do that.
He's been with the organization, 20 years? I mean, maybe longer?
Yeah, JT
maybe longer?
Like 30.
And not 30, I don't know.
Like 35.
30, his son is right here in the studio. Is it 30?
Yeah, he's like 29.
29,
Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, I
My
underestimated.
God.
That's pretty awesome.
I don't care about none of that.
He's just mad. You have to have 29 years of service to light the torch, JJ.
So not take no hits. None of that.
No.
JT was on the sideline once. I picked one and I ran into him, so he took a hit.
All right, taking a look at some dates that there is one more game. Obviously, there's the Chiefs coming up, but taking a look at some of the dates
Senior
that we want to
Bowl.
remember. The Senior Bowl, that's where we really get a look. Combine is.
But hey, that draft, that's where it's at right now.
JJ almost didn't make his combine. Would you fail a test or something? You were. What? There's a story. There's San Jose State wasn't exactly a top student, but made it to the combine with third round.
Laundry alert.
He passed the test though. He got there. He made it there. You did,
It
right?
led the league in touchdowns. That's what I'm talking
And
about.
I got a lot of inside scoop of that combine too. Back then, I could have told people who to take and who not to take.
Who was number one in your draft?
Jamarcus
Russell. That was the last time the Raiders.
Yeah. And I got a story, but they in my ear saying, "No, JJ, don't take it there."
That's the last time the Raiders had the number one overall pick. That was in the 2007 draft. And JJ does have a great story. Where did you go, EA?
Arizona State, right?
Arizona State.
I know, but where'd you go in the draft?
Oh, I was 30. I think I was 30.
30?
Yeah.
We were just talking about this
2019.
back then.
I just missed it.
I'll tell you, a lot of the best in the business were at the end of the first round.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to have the number one pick to get a good quarterback.
There you go.
All right, that'll do it for us. We hope you have a great new year, everybody. For James Jones and Eric Allen, I'm Amber Theoharis. We'll catch you next week. Final game right here on Raiders Game Day.